Now that many of you are back at work, you're settling into your old routines, but there are sources of stress in offices, including people who stop by your desk for a chat and wind up draining your batteries. Tom Gimbel from LaSalle Network is joining us to discuss what's called energy vampires in the workplace. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
Good. What is an energy vampire? I've never heard of this before.
Well, it's the people that just suck the life out of the room or suck the life out of a department in a company. They either come and they talk about things that take away from you doing your job. They incessantly bring down the morale of the group by complaining, but they're not adding value to either from a thinking perspective of how to do your job or the department to do their job better, or from a standpoint of being uplifting, that they're always complaining and moaning and all that bad stuff.
They say a lot of the energy vampires are extroverts and they prey on the introverts who don't want to hurt their feelings or avoid conflict.
Well, I'm not so sure that they don't always prey on the extroverts too. You have people, there's successful extroverts and there's not successful extroverts. And so the successful extrovert, that person wants to make money. They want to do well at their job. They want to grow their book of business, if you will, whether they're internal or externally facing. You have the negative extroverts that they want to talk all the time. And those are the people, they'll talk to anybody and bring down their productivity. Now, the difference is when a negative extrovert talks to a positive extrovert, the positive extrovert just goes away.
Yeah, right.
They say, I'm going to go do my job. The introvert doesn't necessarily have the confidence or the skill set to speak up, and so they just kind of put their head down and get bothered by the person.
So what about those who can't just walk away? How do you avoid an energy vampire, like nicely?
Yeah, the number one thing that somebody should do when they feel somebody, and whether it's somebody who's a nice person, not a nice person, all of that being irrelevant, you've got your job to do. You listen for a minute or two, be polite, and say, you know what, I'd love to hear more. I've got to get this done. I have a deadline from my boss.
Or I have to go to the potty. That's another one a lot of people say.
I guess if you never know, if they're too much of a vampire, Micah, they may follow you.
You know, you're right. Hey, Tom, how do you know if you're an energy vampire?
I think that's the interesting part of the article that you and I had talked about before about the energy vampire. And I think that's really an interesting concept of, are you one? Number one, do you find yourself complaining about things in the office? Number two, if you're really confiding in people emotionally, and a lot of us have work best friends, I think the phrase of work husbands or wives is out there. Are those same people confiding back in you? And if the answer is no, you're most likely an energy vampire.
So you have to be astute enough and kind of realize and think about this. I mean, folks who are watching right now, think about it. Are you an energy vampire, or are you a victim of an energy vampire? Because it could be draining, literally.
That's the biggest problem, Micah, because if people had the perspective in the beginning, they wouldn't be the vampire.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. And that could be tough. And I also hear that managers, bosses can be the energy vampire, right?
That's absolutely right. You've got managers that come over and they want to find out what's going on, and before you know it, the conversation has gone into different ways. Now, the difference is an employee may feel that their manager is sucking out time or talking about things incessantly. However, the manager may have a reason, right? Maybe they need to get that employee's head focused on a different area. Maybe the employees being a little bit negative and the manager's trying to open up their train of thought. So it's always, you know, I think we're going to have that problem for forever, is the employee always judging the manager, right? That's part of who we are as people. But I think we've got to really look in the mirror and say, am I adding value to my coworkers, or am I just talking to talk?
Tom Gimbel, always nice to talk to you with LaSalle Network. Thank you, sir.
Good to be with you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
You too. Bye-bye.
Fascinating. Send in some vampire slayers.